Cool.
Okay. Awesome. I am here with Adam Quiney. Did I say your name right?
You nailed it.
Nailed it. Look at that. Amazing. I'm excited to speak to him. He's a top end coach. He has smartest leaders in the room. He has a website, adamquiney.com, QUINEY.com. So I'm excited to speak to him. Adam, if you could let us know a little bit about yourself and start wherever you want.
Okay. It's always dangerous when I'm talking about my favorite subject, which is me.
Awesome.
Let's see. So I'll give you some fun Adam facts. My previous careers were I was a software developer and project manager, and then a lawyer briefly, and then shifted into coaching. Thank goodness. And I'll say I fit I really believe we only ever coach ourselves. And so the smartest people in the room, I'm one of those people. And when people hear that, they're present to the first thought they usually have is like, wow, what an arrogant title, which is perfect because that's one of the things I and my people really struggle with. We're people with a lot of brilliance, and that creates a lot of arrogance. Just like the most generous person in the room can have a degree of righteousness. Like, well, I gave so much money to charity. What did you like? It's not that it's bad to be really generous. It's just that every gift brings with it sort of a shadow side. And so that's part of the shadow that my people struggle with. And the other thing I'll share about my people, and then by way of doing that about myself, is that people often think, oh, wow, really smart, must be really heady, which is how we've learned to be. But most of the real truth of my people and myself is huge hearts, really, really big hearts. And we learned somewhere along the ways quite early on, that's a liability. Shut that thing down, run everything through the abacus on top of our shoulders. So think our way through life, which gets us very far, but then is ultimately this empty kind of unfulfilled life. And so that's a bit of a description of me and my people in kind of a nutshell.
No, that's amazing. That's awesome because you have to attract to who you need to coach, because you're not going to vibe with everybody. And
Yes.
It's like, I don't vibe with everybody either, but the people, we attract are the ones that are like us, and like attracts like. And I think that's amazing. Adam, I would love to hear about some of the work that you're up to. Like if you could tell me something in the direction of where you feel, I would say, inspired or empowered or to speak about, something that you're working on with what you love, with your passion.
Sure. So many things. I mean, these days, it's been about 10 years I've been in this game, coaching, leadership. And what I'm delighted to report or share is that these days, almost everything I'm working on, I feel really passionate and thrilled about, even when I don't. Meaning, there's times when I, like every human, I'm in a lull, or I'm just in the low part of the wave of our experience as a human being. But even in those lulls, it's still like I'm still doing stuff I love and I'm really stoked about. But I'll share two things that are present for me right now. The first is, I think I'd shared a little bit of this with you, Ray, the Spectrums of Being, which is a book, the second or maybe the third book I'm writing, that is, oh, you got a big wad of paper there.
I got it right here, man. I read it 3 times, actually. Yeah.
I love it. So that's ultimately the model. I was trained in what's known as the ontological model, and the basis for that fancy word is human beings are born with our own unique color of light. And, you and I share a lot of connection. For example, you put us in a room, there's more connection in that room. And then on top of that light, we're trained early on, that's bad in these situations. And so in those situations, or any situation that looks like that, we learn to layer on some new strategy. Like, for example, if I'm going to a social situation, what I learned is I'm going to discover or be told that I'm a loser in those situations. So I have a natural, you can, because we're on video, you can see behind me, there's like miniatures and paints set up. I'm really reliable to do nerdy things by myself and be quite content, even though isolating myself is not really who I am. It's who I've learned to become when I get scared. So that's the model I was kind of trained in. And then the Spectrums of Being is this book that really just kind of makes that palatable for the broader audience and breaks that down into the way that makes sense to me. Does So that's a bunch of complicated words I just used, but I think it conveys a little bit of the idea. And I'm just super stoked about giving that gift to people that want to do this work, but aren't necessarily interested in hiring a high priced coach or something like that.
Right. So they'd read the book and they'd be able to pretty much work on themselves little bit by little bit. So tell me
Yeah.
more about those miniatures. You said those miniatures, they were a part of you, but they're not a part of you. You said something, that had a little disconnect for me, but I
Yeah,
want to connect to that more. Maybe it was a
sure.
person that you were, but you're not. I'm not really sure.
Well, like everything, it's a bit of my truth and it's a bit of my shadow. So,
Mm.
first of all, I'm a brilliant guy. Like, I have a lot of brilliance. Brilliant people we have the nerd gene. We like to go deep and we like to pursue esoteric. We like to use words like esoteric. And so growing up, I loved Magic the Gathering, a little bit Dungeons and Dragons. These days, I love Magic the Gathering, video games. I love board games. And I was playing board games with my friends, and we had these little gray plastic miniatures that were kind of ugly, a bit nondescript. And I thought, well, people paint these. Why don't I learn to do that? And so that hundreds of dollars of paint later and paintbrushes and all this, that I got into this hobby of painting little miniatures. Very fun. The disconnect, so actually, let me pause. Doing that stuff, that's a natural expression of who I am. I love
Mm.
being artful and pursuing weird crafts and stuff like that. The part that is my shadow is, given the choice between going and connecting with people and being in a social situation and isolating myself in my office and just painting for the rest of my life, I would always choose the isolation because it's safe. Because there's a part of owning my light, there's a part of stepping more deeply into connection that's scary for me. It's the same thing we're all scared about, is like who we are is a little scary to fully own that. And so even though doing weird, nerdy stuff is a little bit like a true expression of who I am, I can do that thing from managing my fear. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, phew.
Mm. No, and also with the world that we're in now, I mean, we are in the world of the age of dramatic distraction, where I mean,
Well said.
us, we use social media to educate. We're not just consuming. We're actually putting stuff out there into the world so people can kind of take time, energy, and patience to look into themselves, to understand these things instead of just disassociating their life from everything. And I think that that's so powerful. And
Uh-huh.
and I think most people, we're all levels of ambiverts. Like sometimes we want to go, like I'm eccentric, and I used to be very enthusiastic, where I would go out and I'd be high energy, and then it'd be like, not everybody's as high energy as me. I have to be as low as them, and I would
Mm.
shrink myself to become like them. But then I realized as I got older, no way, man. I just got to be who I am, and whoever feels that energy field is going to attract to me, and I'm going to
Uh-huh.
bring them in, and I'm just going to keep who I am, and I think we escape as human beings. I think it's good. We all need something. That little miniature hobby is something that you could like be present with, and it's a part of magic with you, and that. I
Yeah.
think that's amazing. So yeah, so we went over number one, or what was the second thing that you were? Did we go over
Stoked
that?
about?
No. Oh yes,
Nope, nope.
stoked about.
There's Ray, there is lots of things I'm stoked about, and I will talk endlessly about them. It's gonna be a 4-hour podcast.
Hey, next time we'll do that. Maybe in New York when I meet you.
So the other thing I'm really excited about right now, is my wife and I. We trained coaches for about we led coach training for about 5 years with the company that in a lot of ways gave us our souls. And I know that sounds very dramatic. I cannot credit this company, Accomplishment Coaching, enough with how great my life is these days. They provided so much to me early on. And so we stayed on in their work. We led their work for about 5 years. And as a result, these days, we've since moved on from that, but we run our own programs where we support coaches because, frankly, the coaching profession has a lot of chaff. It has a lot of really good intentions, but without a lot of strong training or substance behind those intentions. And there's a lot of coaches that really have gifts to give the world, but haven't been taken as deep as would really serve them. And they haven't learned how to create thriving coaching practices. And part of this work is there's a transformation to become a successful business person. So we lead this group. It's a 6-month group. That's not what I'm excited about that. That's not the thing I'm going to share. Here's what's really exciting to me about this group. This year we decided, you know what? Let's do a retreat together. That's going to be super cool. Let's take them away. We'll go somewhere awesome. We'll spend 3 days going really deep on a beautiful beach, which is a crazy thing to just decide out of the blue. But hey, we're coaches. That's the nature of our lives. So we said, okay, we're going to go to Costa Rica. And so we got 8 people in this group. They all came in, and right at the start we said, guess what? This includes a retreat in Costa Rica. All you have to do is get yourself there and devote the time for travel and to be there with us, and the rest is covered. What's really exciting to me, Ray, is that it's created so much in the way of breakdowns for people to take this on. Like, as you can imagine, just like all of us, people are like, oh, that sounds super cool. I really want to go. And then sure enough, life shows up. And the way life shows up is like, oh, here's another competing commitment. Oh, this is going to cost more than you thought. Oh, you've got a bill over here. Oh, whatever it is. And what's really beautiful is that these coaches who are supporting other people to get over their fear to do the thing they really want are being confronted by their fear and stopping them from doing what they really want, to be in Costa Rica, participating in this retreat. And so I'm so excited about this because of what it's driving up in the group and what it's inspiring them to really sort of see the work that is required of all the people they're going to be working with to get to that place we want in our lives. And that's just fucking amazing. You know, like there couldn't be a better gift than for coaches to witness this process in their own lives and in the lives of the people they're going through this with. So I'm super pumped about that.
I love it. I'm pumped for you. I like that you said Costa Rica. I don't know if you caught that.
Not intentionally, but hey, that works.
You see, just fumble on things, right? Like you said, I when I watched an interview between you and Jason Goldberg, I forgot what the words, and I wrote them down. And like a magician, I have piles of notebooks, and I still can't find it. And you're going to remember it, but you said, in the stupidity is where you find the sublime, or something like that. Something,
that sounds smart.
When you just be ridiculous sometimes with things is where you find creation.
Yeah.
And like you have miniatures, and I like to write scripts. Like I'll sit and put myself through madness to write a screenplay. And I still do it. But the thing is like, I think that's amazing that you're bringing people in, because most people who want to become coaches need to be coached themselves.
Oh.
And you see that, and I see that, and I've worked with a few people that are like that, and they need to make those breaks in order to move to that next level or transition or whatever the case may be. I think that's exceptional, man. Yeah. Do you have any dates upcoming? I know this will be out in March. Do you have any futuristic dates now, or?
Sure.
You could go to Adam's website at adamquiney.com, QUINEY.com. I had to think about it.
Yeah. So there's always stuff that I'm up to. That's, I think, just part of what I'm committed to being on this planet. But like the next event, if people are like, oh, I really want to know about an event, the next event is here in Victoria. We run an event called The Intensive, which is, for coaches and leaders and people who really want to develop. We really hold like coaches lead and leaders coach. And so regardless of which category people put themselves into, I find a lot of leaders want to create a coaching culture and really be able to develop leadership. And that is done through coaching. Or there's coaches that are like, not quite sure where the disconnect is and don't know what's going on and why is it that I can't seem to draw people to me the way I think I'm supposed to. So that's what that event is about. It's 4 days here in Victoria, British Columbia on, I think that's May 14th through May 17th. So that's, awesome. That's the next sort of event. I can talk at length about that, but that's probably, there's tons of copy out there and stuff like that. And, that's probably the less interesting stuff.
Right. And I love that you said that, because we all have to lead ourselves. You know, that's so important. Like just becoming 100% responsible for you, because no one's going to save you. There's no horse, you know, no man on a horse that's going to run up and save you. And it's usually going to be a, you know, and I've said this before probably, but it's going to be a guy with a limp and a gimp, a horse and a limp who gets off. And that's going to be you. And I think, so when you're going in your programs, what do you help people? You help people make breaks within themselves where it's like they're telling themselves an old story and they got to figure out what are the blocks that are preventing them from moving to that thing that they say they want, right? Is it congruent, right? But I'm sure it's multi-process, you know?
Yeah, well, you know, you're kind of alluding to this, like it's different for everyone, right? And that's part of the ego's trap, is that we look over there and we see what's in that person's way, and we're like, oh, I'm so glad that's not in my way. I'm doing my work. And that'd be a little bit, that's kind of akin to looking at someone's, it sound a little weird, but like looking at the way someone's eyes are set up and being like, I'm like, you can see their blind spot. And you're like, I'm so glad that I don't have that blind spot. But you have a blind spot, just like I do, just like you, Ray, do, just like all of us do. The trap of the ego is this idea that because I can see that person's, I'm good. And so the truth is, no matter how awesome someone's doing, no matter how awesome I'm doing, there's always the next level. Doesn't mean we have to step into it, but for people that want something outside of what is currently in their realm of possibility, it's going to require there's going to be some breaking down of belief, some new piece of awareness, some blind spot to have reflected and put in front of them. And then the work to like step into that and start taking it on. So it's like the beauty, I think, is that there's always a next step. The tragedy, if you're a bit like me and are type A and have this fantasy that you'll just get it all done someday, it'll never happen. You're never done your work. There's always a new place you could step into.
Yeah, I mean, I am definitely a creature of overwhelm. Like I take on too many things, and then I have to mind map it, and then I have to be like, I have to stick to this thing. If I don't stick to this thing, then I got to make it granular. It has like a Tron roadmap everywhere, and it's like, and it gets frustrating, and it's like, what am I going to do? You know, but I have to sit and I have to lock myself in, you know, and hone in and focus. And you have that personality too. And I noticed that you're, and it's true, just the way I was brought up. I'm sometimes very impatient, and I have to go, you know. But we all burn out eventually if we don't recover, you know.
Yeah.
We all got to be kind to ourselves. We all got to be gentle, because we are all our own worst enemies. But I want to hear about your book, because when is this book going to come out? You know, and I know it's a hard thing to talk about. And I used to dislike when people would ask me, did you finish that? Like when I was writing scripts along, did you? And I'm like, no, I didn't finish the script yet. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. I hate you so much for asking.
I don't mind at all. Okay. It's so there's like a couple books. There's the first one is this book that I think I showed you a photo of, Too Smart to Know Better. So that's the book beautiful. Specifically written for the subtitle of that is Leadership for the Smartest People in the Room. It's gotten all the way to a printed copy for me to review, meaning like it's written, we've gotten cover design, all of that stuff's handled. And wouldn't you know it, reading through it, I'm like, didn't quite hit the mark. And there's always a risk of my perfectionism showing up. And then there's also the truth that I'm present to. And in this case, I've gotten a lot of support from my coach and my publisher and other people. There is more to be done on that book. So what are we in, January? I figure like 3 months time, that'll be probably ready. It's not a lot of work, but it's kind of like, there's just a little bit missing that would have it, a little bit can go a long way. And that is missing just a little bit. So that one probably March. And then the truth is I've got like 2 more books that are mostly written as I've been waiting for this thing to move through the publishing process. It's really sometimes slow and tedious process. Spectrums of Being, which is the one I was really excited about, and then I was sharing a little bit at the top of this conversation. I think that'll probably be about a year, possibly. It's the first draft is written, and then what I'm finding is that a longer, more extended version is what a lot of people want. So now we're going through and fleshing that all out, and then that is an ongoing process. So that'll probably be fully published in about a year's time. But then there's like another layer to that to like create it, all of the stuff that we make available for a model like this, like a quiz that you could do online to figure out what qualities you bring into the world and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good. And if people actually do the work, it'll move them, And
Always.
And I read your book, and the thing is it sounds like you. It speaks like you. It sounds like you, and even like I listen to Dean Graziosi a lot, and I've seen him speak a couple times. And the thing is like he just says, write it, get it out there, and push it out there because you just need to get it out there. And it's easy to hear him say it, and you're like, but this is my work. And,
totally.
And then like, it's a difficult process. I know it. I've done it tons of times, and it's like puking and getting the right thing. What am I really trying to communicate and educate and entertain, if you will, where I can get people to move to that next thing. And I'm working on a book myself, and it's very slow in the process as well. And it's just Google Doc madness right now, or whatever it is. But
have you read Show Your Work?
I have
by
not,
Austin Kleon?
No. I've read something else that was famous by him.
Steal Like an Artist, probably.
Yes.
Yeah. Show Your Work is a brilliant book. I think it's recommended reading for all coaches and really for all artists. And his premise is you got to publish over and over and over and over again. Just publish, which used to be really, really hard. But in the age of the internet, you could put it out there easily. Publish on Facebook, wherever. And I really believe in that mantra that there's the work is to write crap and publish it, and then you'll iterate, you'll get better as you do that, because you're going to get feedback and you're going to grow and you're going to develop the courage to put your stuff out there, and you're going to let go of some of the preciousness of your art, which is understandable, but then gets in the way. And what I'm most present to through my own artistic process is how much courage it requires to do that over and over and over again, because getting crappy feedback really sucks, but the hardest part is just yelling into the void, publishing something you think is absolutely brilliant and not like you get one like and you're like, really, come on, that was my heart and soul in that. And to do that, to show up and do that every day is it's a really courageous act.
Yeah, and it's just that saying, I forgot where I heard it, but it's I don't really remember it, but it's basically saying you got to show up every single day. There's no, when you're a neophyte, or to be a pro, you got to, not Steve Chandler, Steve, you know what I'm talking about, little old guy.
Yeah,
like
Pressfield.
Pressfield.
That's
it. Bag of Vance. But yeah, he would say just, you have to show up every day, even when you don't feel like it, just do it. And the identity, action, feel. Identity, action, feel. Who am I? I'm an amazing coach. What does an amazing coach do when he's trying to get his word? He just takes the action. Some days, and most days suck. Most days do suck, and it's true. And I love that you said yelling into the void. I actually wrote that down. I was like, sounds like a good title to an article. Yelling into the void.
Yeah.
Because
Steve Chandler calls it the blue collar work he's often speaking of coaching, because coaches, we don't want to face rejection, and we're like, I want to get everything handled and be a masterful coach before I go and coach anyone. And it's like, you got to do the blue collar work of coaching, where it applies to any entrepreneur. But basically, if a truck driver wakes up and is like, I don't really feel like driving truck today, too bad, go drive truck. And that's the blue collar work of coaching. You wake up, you're not always going to want to do this. It's scary being an entrepreneur. You have to face a lot of rejection and be willing to be with people's no. And so it is. Go and do the blue collar work of coaching.
Yeah, that's so true, because it's I listened to David Meltzer speak one time, and he said you have to get, if you're willing to get 25 no's to get that one yes, right?
Yeah.
Because 98% of the people on the planet aren't interested in what you have. There's a 2% that are far beyond driven, and you got to go towards and find them where they're and bring them to where they want to go, right? And like with power and with authenticity and realness and pushing. What attracted me to you is I know we're very different. And I'm not just talking about our head shapes. You're oval, I'm round. But just we're different. And I saw that in your coaching. I was like, this is a dude that I want to get to know because
Mm.
we're different. We're very different. And I think that's and we're the same because we're about growth. We're about
Uh-huh.
personal development. We're about, it's not a distant shore, it's a guiding star. We're going to be on this road forever, you know, and, and if you take the personal development journey with you, like you guys are listening to this podcast and saying how it's an everyday process. It's not like I do it on Monday and then I do it next Monday. It's every day I'm working to getting better and
Yeah.
better and better and knowing it's 20 steps forward and 10 steps back. Adam goes through his own stuff, and I believe that. He's a very intense human being, but he has confidence in himself. He has intense trust
Sometimes.
sometimes, but you won't know, when he has that poker face with life, you know. And I think that's what makes you amazing is that, I've watched a lot of your work here and there, and I think it's great. So, Adam, what books are you reading now? I am on a Napoleon Hill kick. I don't know why.
Well, I'll speak to that, but before I do, can I talk to something else that you touched on?
Please.
You're talking about, I can't remember who the name was, but 25 no's to get one yes, which, let's broaden that out. We're talking about entrepreneurs in general. So it's not just coaches that we're talking about. There's value here in this for everyone. And when I'm coaching, for me, it's coaches tend to be the people in my practice, but whether it's a coach or an entrepreneur, one of the things I believe is the greatest gift that they can give themselves and their potential clients is the gift of being in an abundance of connection. So what a lot of people do is they're like, okay, I got to go get a client for my real estate business or for my financial professional, for my coaching business. And then they go and talk to people and they're very fixated on this person could be the client. I got to get this client. And it's a ton of pressure in the energetic thread between the two of them. And when they get a no, it's devastating because they put all of their energetic eggs, so to speak, into that basket with that one person. And if we can, the first stage for any service professional and probably even a widget seller is go and be in an abundance of connection with people. Be talking to a ton of people, because then when someone cancels or they're late for your appointment or they have to reschedule last minute or they just are a no to you, it's so much easier to let that go. You can just be like, no problem. I got 5 other people that I'm talking to tomorrow. That's awesome. I don't mind this extra hour. And what that does is it gives you a ton of freedom and energy and space. And it gives the person you were talking to a lot of freedom and energy and space too. And we really want that in our no. When I say no to someone, I want them to really honor the no. And when that's hard to do when I'm fixated and they're the one person on which all my dreams rest. So I really think that abundance of connection is so valuable. If there's one gift I could give to almost everyone that has a business they want to get running that comes through my door, it would be that, an abundance of connection.
That's one thing you guys should write down right now, an abundance of connection. Because it's true. You got to go out and connect with people, and just meet tons of people. You do. I go to events all the time and I meet people. And if a conversation comes up and it connects and then all of a sudden, would you like help with that? I would love to help you. That sounds so interesting, you know, and, let's see where it goes. Because you're right. Some people will pour into, I was a former high-end car salesman, so I totally understand.
This whale.
Oh my God. I mean, it was high-end cars and you're pouring into it. And then when I got to a higher level of selling vehicles where it was one person buying 20 cars, it became different, right? Then it wasn't the objections were just different. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about this. It wasn't compare and contrast. And just a little bit, it was more about, but in the early stages, it was like you're pouring all that energy. And then once you lose it, you devastate and you get depression and, then habits kick in and kick you out.
And it's so human for that to happen. It's not even wrong that it happens. It's just like, oh, that's predictable. And so how can I not pretend it won't happen, not insist it shouldn't happen, but how can I buoy myself when it does happen? And I really believe the medicine for that is just abundance of connection. However you like to connect with people. People are like, I don't know how to find people. I'm like, well, I know what I do is I like to go to whiskey tastings and beer tastings and go to ayahuasca ceremonies and go to crazy parties in Portugal because they're fun. And you'll meet clients everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a long-term game. A lot of
It
people don't
is.
realize wherever they're at, it's a before, during, and after process. You know, that
Yeah.
it's forever.
We're
You know?
farmers.
Yes. Yes. Farmers.
Yeah.
Right. What is it? The athlete, the soldier, and the farmer, right? In the Bible,
Is that what it
I
is?
guess. In the Bible, I guess. I started reading the Bible again, and I don't understand it. I'm like, I have no idea. This person's 985, and the son, that's
Yeah.
860.
And now there's like the word beget for 50 pages. What's going on?
Yes, I was like, I'm confused. It puts me to sleep, though. I guess it's good. Unconsciously, I guess I'm doing my part in the biblical community itself. But
there's a lot of wisdom in those texts. If we can get past like the dogma and the baggage that's been attached to it, there's a great deal of wisdom in those ancient texts.
Yeah. Yeah. You come across it and then I'll be like, okay. You know, like my favorite is, I don't even know, I can't quote it, but iron sharpens iron, like one man sharpens another, or one man something is another. And it's true. You need to surround, you know, guys, if you're listening and you're not surrounding yourself with people that elevate you and encourage you and inspire you, like I'm speaking to Adam, and I watch his videos and I take notes because I'm learning. You know, there's always, I want to earn the learn, you know?
Earn the learn. I love that, man.
Yeah, you got to do it with yourself too. You got to earn the desire to learn, to move you to what you truly, truly want in life, whatever it is. And if you're listening to this and you're in a hopeless situation, know that it's up to you. It's truly up to you to uncover that truth and become fully exposed to what you want and move it forward, right? And abundance of connection. Go out and meet people, because most people are on the phones, staring at them, and I'll walk up to people. I'm just very friendly. You talk to people, you know, I noticed on your phone, I just want to introduce myself. I do weird things, and sometimes it backfires, sometimes it doesn't. But you got to connect, man. And I think that's such a great point. We can like even end the podcast there, the abundance of connection.
There's one thing I want to add to that, which is sometimes when I offer that to someone, they're like, well, I'm not like you, Adam. Connection doesn't come easy to me. You're like me. Connection does not come easy to me. Now it's who I am, but like from my fear, again, I would rather sit in this office and paint miniatures. So I have to like get supported. I have a lot of conversation with my coach. I get supported by a lot of people in my life to generate myself as connection, because from a fear, and literally every time I'm going to a social situation, I have anxiety that shows up and my stomach starts to feel uncomfortable and I start to get tired and I start to have a conversation like, well, do we really want to go? What if people suck? Blah, 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 blah. And so I get it. Give yourself a gift anyhow.
Yeah, go. And it's funny, like even take what Adam said. Adam likes to, I had a best friend growing up who loved to paint miniatures.
This guy sounds cool.
Oh, dude, we would play Dungeons and Dragons. You got to tell me what your characters were. I had Normac, and then I had Zeronimus, the mage. Did you have any famous characters?
No, my custom made character was Death Sushi.
Death Sushi, even better. Right, I love it. And it's funny. It's like even take if you're like Adam and you paint miniatures at home, go out and see if you could join other people who are painting miniatures to go out and start, you know, connecting, because as humans we're social. When we isolate is when we destroy ourselves. And I know men who are my age and older in their 40s and 50s who isolate end up dying. And like, you know, like they just, you know, and they're just statistics. I've read statistics of men who just isolate and stay alone. And, you know, that's why it's good as connectors like we are. Like even today, I was forcing myself, I was forcing myself to connect with people. I was like, you know what, for the next 4 hours that I'm doing these errands, I'm just going to connect with people and smile and nod at them and let them know it's okay, you know, and whatever, a small microsecond of life that I just give with good energy and, hey, how are you? You know what I mean?
Totally.
And I think it's great. And it's an stillness.
We can even like, it's easy to fall into the trap. Like, oh my God, okay, I got to have like a half-hour conversation with this person. I got to ask about their kids. No, you don't. You can practice on a gradient. Like if all of us did, Connection is not the panacea, whatever it is. It's not the medicine that'll cure every one of our problems, but like it goes a long way. And if all we do is practice 1% more, make eye contact, we're doing our work. It's all it takes is like lean out 1% further over the edge than where we would normally stop. And if we're doing that, things are going to shift. The ground underneath our feet will start to shift. And fuck yeah, is what I have to say to that.
Fuck yeah. I got to second that, dude. I got your back on that. It's funny reading that, that's why Dale Carnegie's book's so famous, because a lot of people are just, like 20 pages, like how to smile, like how to shake people's hands. It's such a basic, to me, it's basic crap that I learned from growing up in Long Island and selling encyclopedias. We could go over that another day, but it's like you develop over time, like how to connect and handshake and, but people get rejection. They're like, you know what? I'm just going to go back on my phone. I'm comfortable on my phone.
Yep.
That guy rejected me, but if you go with the intention of that, people are here to serve me. I forgot who said this, but I'm going to go out and enjoy my day. Everything's happening through me, which I think most things happen through you. Like you create your own magic. I've watched it, and if you guys aren't watching him on YouTube, connect with Adam on YouTube, please watch his stuff. If you're interested in developing yourself and getting better, Adam has I want to use the politically correct buttload of material that's out there that you guys can consume and watch. If you're an avid learner, like if you share this, like I need to get better. Like I have a burning desire to get better. Like every year, like you are, like you're in, I know you're in Rich Livin's community and I'm in Eben Pagan's community, and we're there to grow ourselves to become like just better human beings and connect,
Yeah.
And I think that's so forthright. Is there anything else you would like to speak about?
Well, I think it would be, well, not so much on that. Well, I'll clarify. I'm no longer in Rich Livin's community.
Oh,
great. Love that man very much. Happy that he's doing that. I think it's a great community. But my wife and I have since moved on, mostly because it was time to create our own community was really what was there. And we noticed we were using that as a reason not to. It was kind of like a crutch that we needed to let go of, so that we had to set that down so that we could grow into what was next.
Yeah.
That being said, there's many communities we are ongoingly a part of. The other thing I was going to say, though, is it might be worth sharing some of the stuff that's not so rosy on my side, or just like the places where I struggle, because I think our humanity is really important in this. And I was posting the other day, we don't need coaches that are here for people. We need coaches that are here with people, meaning we need other human beings on this journey with us. We don't need people that have had it sorted out and then are like, let me help you, you broken human. I can elevate you to where I am. So if you think that would be good, I'm happy to share some of the places that aren't like all sorted for me. Yeah, cool.
You get 4 thumbs up,
that you should get that checked out.
It only hurts when I cough.
So you're very funny, Ray. We share that too. So one of the places, the big place for me lately has been all of my life, the kind of story I was given or developed out of my childhood was I am not enough. So I get told by my parents a lot, make sure you're working hard. They wanted me to work hard. They wanted me to do well. So they shared that story from love. But if you're constantly being told, make sure you work hard, even when you're working hard, or even after you've done a bunch of hard work, there's a conclusion that I at least reached, which was, oh, I guess I feel like I'm working hard, but I'm still being told to work hard. So I guess I'm not working hard. I guess I'm not working hard enough. And over time, that starts to shift from I'm not working hard enough to simply I'm not enough. And then over time, not only that, but it starts to just become internalized. So like, one, they did this totally honestly. We're doing their very best. I have very loving parents who I care deeply about. And this is this sort of underlying sentence, life sentence, if you like, that I came into this world with. So from that place, super reliable to work really hard. Like, for example, law school, they're like, it's going to be a lot of hard work. I'm like, no fucking problem. I got that one covered. I've got a bottomless hole of me not being enough. And I am really reliable to do a ton of work to try to fill it. What's not so easy for me is taking it easy. So I'm really reliable to work really hard, but when it's time to relax, when it's time to take breath, when people are like, hey, Adam, that's great what you're doing over there. This is a really nice, easy road that we're walking here. It's shaded and like lovely. Why don't you come walk this with us? I'm like, no, morons, hard work. I'm macheteing through a jungle over here. You should be doing this too. So you with me so far?
Huge. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So from that, this last year, really, earlier on in my practice, there was a lot of getting coached and supported to build a practice and to be thriving as a coach. And this last year, I've gotten to the point where it's pretty self-sustaining. I'm kind of a public figure to some extent. People know who Adam Quiney is. There's lots of people that want to work with us. That's awesome. And what's there now is to let go of all of the hustle that I know to do and am reliable for, and trust that it's enough, that things will show up. And I got to tell you, Ray, that's fucking scary and hard in the weirdest way, like in a mind-boggling kind of way, because I can wrap my head around all of the business strategy and the elements I need to put into place to make sure that I get clients and that my events fill and all that stuff. And to let go of that and just be in the act of trusting spirit or God or universe or space blueberry muffin or whatever you want to call it, that's terrifying in this really weird way. And so that's one of the big struggles, ironically, that I'm, I don't know if I'd call it struggle because I'm feeling pretty good in it right now, but there's like an unsettlingness to that because I'm letting go of what I know. So that's a big thing there for me these days.
And dude, it's powerful. And it's having that intense trust, and we're speaking like friends here, and I know that's hard and it's a struggle. And I found that too, as I'm still like in that stage where I'm with a coach right now, learning to replicate. I'm a little behind you. I don't want to say behind, but like I'm a little different spot where I'm learning assistant. I'm replicating because I'm going to be hiring people like me, who represent me to do what I do. Like I'm looking to build an empire with coaching. That's what I want, without a doubt. And the thing is, it's like I study Stoicism, I study Buddhism, I study Christianity, and I'm a big believer of the law of reciprocity. Huge believer. Like we talked about, like farmering. My mother was a farmer. And,
oh, cool.
And it's just like I know it's like when you just keep throwing seeds out and giving and giving and giving and giving, and you're patient through those times, eventually you're going to reap that harvest. You don't know when. You just got to trust that it's going to happen. And like even the word universe means one song. It's one song. It's one verse. It's one hymn. And we're all just doing. And the more you put out, it's just a part of it. I just believe. I see it. I see it's happening now. Like I just got to, you get referrals and, oh, dude, you should check this guy out, man. And it's going to happen. And it's trust, faith. Faith is an action word. It's having faith. It's like, okay, 2 days have passed. It's kind of like we're like Xing on a calendar on a prison cell, right? Sometimes, as people, because we're driven people. We're ambitious. We have a, I don't want to say I want to be president of the United States, but you have a fierce ambition or a fierce drive, I guess. Yeah, I would say drive to get that to where it's at. And hopefully it's not a black hole where it never ends, And that's something we got to be careful of too, right? We get to one level and then we're like, oh my God, is this it? Okay, what's next? We're done. And we got to celebrate, right?
Yes, we do.
You do. Every client I get, I celebrate. I like do a little dance. I buy them a gift and I buy myself a gift.
Same.
Oh, you do the same thing?
Yeah, I got to show you. You can't see it here, and I guess no one listening will be able to see it. But I just got
We can
back
describe
from.
it. We can descript it.
I found this place in Vancouver, which is near where I live, where they sell these. This guy sells these really cool art tiles.
Oh my
So
God.
they're made of porcelain or I don't know what, and each tile has this unique shape. So I bought this one for myself. It's like a sciencey tree,
Wow.
perfect fit for me with my giant head. Anyhow, I bought one for each of my clients, and I'm so excited to send them to them, and they have no idea that's coming. And that's one of the delights of this work,
Yeah.
is that we get to really astonish our clients, which is a Rich and Steve word, like blowing people away with love and with unexpected gifts and stuff like that, and really being extraordinary.
Hmm.
That is fun.
Right. And it's huge. You can go way back to that. If you're working to connect with people, like give, like you have to feel it though, because I know people who it's not natural for them to give something like I'll be like, oh, someone said something to me. I'll print something out and say, oh, we talked about this for 20 minutes. I'd like to give this to you. And I
Yeah.
highlighted it, check it out, and I think that's just, we're in a world where it's just like, once we start throwing out those seeds, if you just trust, right, confidence, the word is intense trust. Like those
Mm-hmm.
are amazing gifts. I would be like honored, like to and your clients are going to be like, oh my God, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be cool. And it's going
Yeah.
to light me up. Like this year, one of the things that's been really big for me, there's another thing I've been really excited about, is giving gifts. Because for the longest time, gifts, there was really a bit of a burden for me, because I'd give the gift and, oh my God, are they going to like it? What if they don't? What if they're going to be disappointed? Avoiding disappointment's been a big theme in my life.
Mm.
So gifts are a source of that. What if I give the wrong gift and they open it and they have to like be disappointed? Move past that. Now I can be with disappointment, which means I can have the gift of giving gifts. And oh, it's so fun and such a treat to just be out and to see something that I'm like, I'm going to want to give that to someone. And great, I'm going to. I don't know who or when. There's a
Yeah.
whole, you can't see it, but the entire corner of this part of my office is devoted to gifts that have yet to be given. So there's a whole
That's
bunch of
awesome.
stuff here that are like things that I'm excited to give to the person, and they'll show up when it's time to give to them. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I like that. They'll show up when it's time.
Yeah.
I love that. But you
Yeah.
saw it and you're planning ahead,
Yeah.
you know? And and
Yeah.
I think it's great. You're breaking out and doing your own thing. And that's what we do. And sometimes as coaches, we get stuck. I've been stuck in that, where it's like I'm dependent, on this person, but now I'm creating this
Yeah.
system and I need to leave. The journeyman has to leave to go on their journey, right?
Yes.
If you're looking at mastery, right? What would they do? The blacksmith would you'd blacksmith like 8 years old with someone for 7 years, and then you go off on the journey and hole up in some small medieval town, and then your beard grows gray like ours, and then we become, and
Yes.
so awesome. So I'm going to wrap up soon. I would love to know, actually, we still got, let's say 15 more minutes.
Yeah.
What are some book recommendations that you have that would be, just something that, because I'm an avid reader, probably like yourself. I do try to read. I read about an hour definitely a day, sometimes 2 hours, one in the
Yeah.
morning, one at night. And I'm a highlight fanatic, and I have to see how I can make that actionable right away. I think
Yes.
that's important too. Like speed of implementation is, okay, how can I do this? Like for me, it was Napoleon Hill.
Mm.
I've heard about him for years, but then all of a sudden I'm like, it's pretty cool industrial age shit here.
No kidding. Books that I love, sort of from like a book that really captures the essence of the spiritual journey in a way that's really profound for me and is a beautiful, easy to read story, is Illusions by Richard Bach. Have you read that one?
Yeah.
That's probably
Yes.
my all-time favorite book. I read that every now and then. I love it. It's so profound. There's so much I mean, you read it and you're like, wow, that's really fanciful and silly, but that is the work of transformation that is being done in that book, along with exactly our resistance to it shows up throughout that book. So that is one of my faves. As like a foundational piece for being fully expressed, I really love Getting Real by Susan Campbell. Have you read that one?
No.
Oh, it's so good. Um, Getting Real is great because it's written. First of all, it's brilliant. Second, it's written well, and third, it has clear action items throughout the book, along with quizzes like you might really pay attention to this section and implement these actions if blah 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 blah.
Mm.
So it's great as like it's very pragmatic. You put it into action, which is awesome. And then the third one, because I like to do three. The
And
third
he has
book
a
I really
bookcase
love.
behind him, guys, which you cannot see.
Yeah, with all the good ones.
And maybe you will
So the
see
third
when
book
it's.
I often,
Hmm.
the third one I often recommend to people is called Undefended Love they have really weird names. Jet Saris, Psaris, and I think Jeff Lyons, maybe, or anyhow, something like that. And here's the premise of Undefended Love, which I love. You know that part in dating where you get together with a person and you're like, oh my God, everything's amazing, like the honeymoon phase. You know that part, right? And then what happens is over time we get to know the person and then, oh, the honeymoon phase is gone and we're all disappointed and like, oh, I guess that wasn't really as magical as I thought. And then what some of us do is we just resign ourselves that this relationship is going to suck and we suffer through it. And other people resign themselves that this isn't the right relationship, end it, and then go seek a new honeymoon period, repeat. Their whole premise is it's neither of those. That honeymoon period represents the possibility for this relationship if we're willing to do the work to take down our defenses. So at the start of the relationship, we're undefended. We're chemically aided. Our whole system's going crazy. We're infatuated. And so we drop all of our defenses and we're just connecting with that person heart to heart. And then over time, because we're human, we start to put back different pieces of our armor on until we get back to our baseline. And so that premise that like that's what that honeymoon period offers and that's the possibility available. Oh man, what a way to do relationship, what a practice to take on. And I think that book is so well written and I can't recommend it enough. I love that one.
I got it. I will be picking those up. Yeah, the Richard Bach one I read actually. A coach of mine who's no longer with us recommended that, and yeah,
I'm sorry.
And I read that. And the thing is yeah, I mean the airplane, and I got to read it again. You got to pick it up again because when you read as much as we do, you just forget books. You got to revisit them. You know.
Yeah, I trust, like whatever, when I'm reading these days, I kind of hold it like whatever. I'm a highlighter too, especially when I'm reading on the Kindle, you can highlight. But for me, it's less like I don't usually intend to go back. It's more like the act of highlighting sort of, it's one more step of solidifying it. And then I kind of release it. This isn't the right way to read. It's just the way I read. Release it. And I trust like whatever there was there for me to get has been gotten. And now I'm going to move on. And it's neat because sometimes you'll find yourself just these things come out in your conversation. You're like, oh, cool. I didn't realize, I guess I'm being used by that piece of information rather than using it. Neat.
Right. It's funny. I saw a cartoon, to add to that shows a guy reading and then the guy reading embalms what's in the book. And then he becomes the beams of light in his eyes. I forgot where I saw it.
Yeah.
Probably on Instagram or something. But it's funny. I take it a little one step further because I do one book a month and I take it and I highlight it. And it's just like, I'll do that.
Yeah.
But then I'll actually take a composition notebook and then I'll write notes on it. And then I'll speak. It's weird. I speak it out loud in the recorder and then I'll play it.
Wow. Good for you, man.
It. Yeah. It's a little too many steps. And I think would drive some people nuts, but sometimes I'm obsessed about some things. So it's just like doing that. It's just, because this pertains to coaching in a way.
Yeah.
Like, so that's why I'm like, like learning the way these guys think. And then how can I help my clients think that way? That's where I'm at right now with reading.
I so admire your commitment and that's some serious dedication. That's like a real gift you bring into the space.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's just a part of the morning ritual. It's just like I time it too. I have to time it.
Sure, it's just like,
that. Oh yeah. Well, it's just like the meditation. I call it meditation exploration. I put meds, then I'll put like 15 minutes, then I'll put reading 45 minutes, and then I'll put journaling 15 minutes. I got to fill up one page, even if it's nonsense. Sometimes just gibberish in the morning. I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm just like, this is what my brain is thinking.
Same. Yeah, a lot of
Oh,
bad rap songs written during my writing practice.
Oh, that's funny. We should have a rap attack. Have you ever had a rap attack?
Oh boy.
We won't do it here, but in the future. I used to have a friend who used to text me raps, and then we'd go back and forth. I'm like, this is pretty good, man. Spell this. So that's what happens when you're from the city. You just have rap attacks.
Yep, that's right. The urban vibe.
Oh, awesome. So Adam, where can people find you and discover you? Or is there anything else profound? You said some amazing things today, like the abundance of connection, just connecting with yourself, showing your vulnerability side of who you are and what you're going through. I think people can, we all have to open ourselves up to growth, no matter where we are in our journey, because if we don't, we're just going to be the same. And at the end of the day, do we ever really want to be the same? No, we want to change through this life. We have the gift. Well, some people do want to be the same. I can't say that. But most of us who want to develop, want to throw that ball and move and, feel powerful, they want to move forward.
The one thing I would say that might be a slight tweak on that, at least from my perspective, is I really want to, for the longest time, I really held the perspective like, we got to change, we got to grow, we can't stay the same. And what I'm realizing is that imposes something on people. And I really want to give people permission, to whatever extent I can be the one to give permission, but to like not change. It's okay if life feels good. It's okay for life to feel good. And if you want to change, it's okay to want to change. And that's another place I've been doing a lot of work lately, is to really trust people exactly where they are and trust that they're on their path, even if it doesn't look the way I think their path ought to look, which is taking work. It's taken me work to hold it that way. But so I really want to just broaden it out to say like, change is available, much more so than we could possibly imagine. Like, there's such possibility available, and it's okay to not want to change in this moment. And then to answer your question, you've been very generous in sharing my website, adamquiney.com. That's a great place for people to connect with me. Facebook, like, I love it when people reach out on Facebook. I love it especially when they do more than add me as a friend and then wave and then wait for me to generate the conversation. But that's okay too. If that's what people are doing, that's what people are doing. Everything's either an expression of love or a cry for love.
Connect, say hi. He'll talk to you, man.
I will. Yeah. Facebook's great. And then people can always reach. The other place I would say is my podcast is a fun way to get a sense both of some of the distinctions I talk around leadership, and then also to get an experience of me coaching, because we have live coaching that shows up on those during the midweek. So
yes,
all of those and any other place.
And I love that. Your Wellness of Being was a great, I love that. I listened to that and I found some great nuggets. There's always so much to learn, there's always.
Yes.
And it's funny you said that about and that's my problem is like, I never, and I have work to do too. Like I always want to, I believe everybody, for me, and it's something I have to work on, is that they need to become better. Like if you're speaking to me, you must become better. Because
totally.
if you're in my proximity, you have no choice but to want to become better, or you're not going to be in my proximity. And it's just who I am. Like I'm competitive, and it's true. And you have to give the choice.
Yeah.
You have to give the choice. And I think that's important. I can say it, it's probably not going to happen, but it's free will, the free will to choose to change or not to change. But I believe when people really want to discover who they are and just become a little bit better than who you were yesterday, I just think you make the world a better place. And you influence people around you, because life is so quick. You know what I mean? Did we ever think these would become gray? I didn't think these would become gray, dude. I thought they'd be pitch black for the rest of my life. They just grow. So thank you, Adam. I want to thank you for your time, your energy, your uniqueness, your unique ability. He's a very experienced coach, and he's someone that you guys should want to learn from. You should want to take in his knowledge. I've decided to like listen to all of his podcasts and usurp to help, you know, that makes any sense. I don't even know. It does. It does in my world. But anyway, thank you, Adam, and I appreciate you. And is there any last words? You have any cool little quote? I don't mean to put the pressure on you, but you know.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, the first thing I want to do is just thank you, Ray, for your generosity. Your generosity, your brilliance, your wit, your play, your connection, and your humility. There's a real beautiful devotion without arrogance to who you are as a man and a spirit and a being. And it's really, there's a lot of permission in the clearing you create. And I'm grateful for that. I do not currently. Oh, I guess the the wisest thing I could say is really just a loving invitation to trust that you're on the path. And even when we're off the path, that's the only really way we can find out that we're off the path to get back on the path. So even when we're off the path, we're kind of still on the path. So no stress, no need to get concerned or like, oh fuck, Adam and Ray talked about this stuff and now I got to do a ton of stuff. It'll get there. You're doing what you're needing to do.
Awesome. Well said. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. Thank you.